Y'all better act accordingly when y'all go to these other countries. You better hold your head down, walk in, shop, stay in the tourism areas, don't break no laws, be on your best behavior. It's your girl, Your Girl Karma. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Listen, if it's your first time here, go ahead and click the subscribe button, like, comment, and share this video. If you are a returning subscriber, hey, how you doing? How you been? Make sure you like, comment, and share this video. This week of March 5th has been a busy news week, and I was like, I have to talk about the stuff that happened this week. Like, it was just so many stories, and we just got to get into it. So this first story is about a man that has 7 kids and 7 baby mamas, right? And he goes on to say some very interesting things. I'm going to play the clip, and honey, we're going to talk about it.
You calling me a deadbeat because I tell them I was being irresponsible, not wearing protection. But I always tell these women that I got pregnant that I do not want to be a father to these children. And I offer to pay for the abortion. Majority of times they'll either take the abortion or they'll take a plan B. But only these 7 have kept these children. But the crazy thing about it is they want me to be responsible for some children I told them I did not want. So for some years now, some of them been trying to get in contact with me, access denied. Because I don't really know why you trying to get in contact with me. I done told you I did not want them kids. So don't expect me to be responsible financially, emotional, spiritually, mentally, or physically with some kids I do not want. And I don't give a fuck what nobody think about it. You're not gonna force children up on me. Yeah, we both made the decision to lay down and have intercourse. We both was irresponsible about the decisions we made that night. Yeah, I could have pulled out, but I didn't. And I ain't care to pull out because I'm not the one that gonna have to carry a baby for 9 months. It's the woman. In my opinion, women should be more careful on who they sleep with. Because you're going to be like, one of my baby mamas trying to find me so I can financially support a kid I done told her or them I did not want. Another thing is, these just jump offs. These the type of women that I ain't even had to do nothing for. The bare minimum, but they gave me access to their body and they think I want to be a father to a child for one of them? Like, I don't even have no type of love for these women. How do they expect me to love these children? Before y'all say, oh, he irresponsible, he a deadbeat, he don't take accountability. Yeah, I do. I just don't give a fuck. You ain't gonna force these children on me when I told you I ain't want them. Yeah, I can offer to pay for abortion, but at what point can I force a woman to go get an abortion? I cannot. A woman say, my body, my choice.
Listen, did you catch everything that he said? Okay, let's talk about it, right? So one thing that I think that is important to note before I get into anything else is that when it comes to making a child, it takes 2, okay? There is never any one person at fault when it comes to making a child unless some unconsensual stuff happen. As long as it's consensual, it literally takes 2 people to make a child. And so when it comes to making a child and 2 people, both parties are responsible. There's no one party that's more responsible than the other because of how somebody feels about their responsibility, okay? You both decided to engage in an action that can produce a child. So feelings out of it, no matter how you felt about whether you wanted children or not, you have to understand how responsible you have to be to engage in that action, not take any precautions, and that a child could come from it, right? So just sticking with those facts, both people are responsible. But here's where this man in this video is a clown, and men that think like him are clowns, okay? Because in several times in this video, he says, I could have pulled out, I could have not finished inside the woman, and yet he was like, but I did. Okay, at that point, you absolve yourself of all of this, oh, I ain't responsible. You are responsible. You know, men that think like this have to understand, you control your seed, sir. Nobody controls that but you. You control whether or not you get somebody pregnant. It is all up to you. Yes, the woman has to consent for you to enter into her, but when it comes to planting your seed, that is solely on you. As a man that doesn't want to be responsible for any children, doesn't want any children, doesn't want to take care of any children, why do you have 7? Like, after the first couple of baby mamas that you didn't want and children that you didn't want, why did you go to make 5 more? Like, you just don't make any sense. Here's the other part that makes him a clown. All these women were jump offs. Okay, so you're telling me that you're out here just sleeping with jump offs or any old body. You know what he means when he say jump off. Women that he don't have feelings for, that he don't care about, that they just don't mean anything to him. They don't mean anything to you, but you're willing to plant your seed in these women that just don't mean nothing to you. If we gonna be anything, let's be for real. Lastly, wrapping this up because we got so much to go through. He says in this video that, he has no type of love for these women. He don't love these women. He don't care about these women. So what makes these women think that he's going to love a child that comes from them? And men are so flawed in this thinking that it's crazy. They're so flawed because it does not matter how you feel about a parent to be able to take care of your child. Does it make it harder? I'm not saying that it doesn't make it harder. I'm not saying that if the parent is difficult, that you don't have feelings, that you don't have, things that go in emotionally, that it's not a hard thing to do when there is a hard relation or a difficult relationship with the other parent. However, it should have nothing to do with your child. That is something that you can see. That is a beautiful thing. And it's about time that men stop making children suffer because of how they feel about the mama, and vice versa. If there's women out there because you feel some type of way about the dad, so the child is suffering, you are being selfish. You need to put all of your feelings behind so that your child can have a relationship with their other parent. Y'all are wrong. That is flawed thinking. And I'm tired of that thinking. Because once again, at the end of the day, it should be about the child. It's not about you and your feelings. Get out of your feelings. Once you have a child, you're on the back burner. You and your feelings. You're supposed to do what you're willing to do so that that child can have the best life that they can have, so that that child can have both the parents in their lives, so that that child can, really be supported. Y'all have no idea the harm and the trauma that you cause your children because you don't like the other parent. You don't want to be there for the child. That thinking is flawed, and it's a horrible kind of mindset, and y'all need to stop. And this man with 7 kids and 7 baby mamas up here want to put all the responsibility on the women. It's not flying over here. And if you a man or a woman that think like him, baby, go to therapy, seek help, because it is definitely flawed thinking, because everybody has control over their body and whether or not they make a baby with people, especially the men, it shouldn't even be no accidents. You don't want no children, go get a vasectomy. You don't want no children. Don't lay down with a woman that you wouldn't that you wouldn't want a child with, even if you're using protection. You have to take sexual acts very serious, and that's what's wrong. People don't take it serious. People just willing to lay down and do anything with any old body. Because at the end of the day, you better be glad all you got up with was a child, because they got some things out here that had you sicker than sick. Okay. So anyway, this guy is a clown, and I mean, he had the internet blazing. A lot of people agree with him. A lot of people that different. The people was debating, but honey, ain't no debate over here. He a clown. So the next story in the news cycle that had everybody in uproar, going off, going left, going right, was Chris Rock's Netflix special. Now listen, shout out to Chris Rock for capitalizing on his pain from when Will Smith slapped him. He kept quiet. He really didn't say anything. And he did it in a Netflix special. He got a bag. I'm here for it. Now, if you haven't watched the Netflix special, let me just be honest. I didn't watch it. I have never been a Chris Rock fan like that. No, nothing personal or anything like that. But his just comedy just never made me really laugh. Like, he's just never been a comedian that I would watch a stand-up at all. So I've only watched him like in award shows where he's telling jokes, or maybe like snippets of something that somebody posts online. But I've never been the one to sit down and watch a Netflix special. And this one was no different for me. However, let's not act like most people didn't tune in. See what he has to say about Will Smith and being assaulted by Will Smith, essentially, right? And all I did was look at the clip. So the first things first, I can't tell you how the whole special was because I never was going to watch it. I think that it was interesting that Netflix live streamed it, right? That's new for Netflix. Live streaming? Okay, Netflix. And so basically in the clip, Chris Rock explained how he just thought Will Smith was a B word for slapping him because he wasn't the one that hurt Will Smith. His point was that, everybody in the world has been cheated on. For the most part, we all went through some type of getting cheated on, right? But the difference between Will and Jada is that you've never sat across from the person on live TV in front of millions of people and gotten interviewed by the person that cheated on you. So he was saying that caused a whole different type of hurt for Will, right? Which, let's be honest, that was some tomfoolery. Will and Jada should have never did that. They should have never came out and did no interview on no red table about your wife sleeping with somebody else. Open marriage or not, 2020, whatever year it was or not, progressive or not, you just should not have done it. That is y'all's personal business. And to be honest, nobody needed to know. And so it didn't go the way that y'all thought it would go. And after that happened, people came down on Will the most, right? Saying that how emasculating that was for him. And so I think it created a wound in Will. And this is what Chris Rock is saying, to where he was just really wounded. So that night when Chris Rock is up there at the Oscars telling jokes, Will just went off and went crazy and slapped him. And the battle was not with Chris Rock. The battle was with the person sitting next to you and what you've allowed them to do to you. And Chris Rock, I take my hat off to you because that was a great assessment. The other assessment he said is that, Will only slapped him because Will knows that he could beat Chris Rock up, which is very true. Say somebody else was up there that was bigger and badder than Chris. Would Will Smith have went up there and slapped him? Not at all. It's because it was Chris Rock, right? It's because Jada was feeling some type of way. And Will is he's essentially, I don't know what kind of relationship they got going on, but honey, he don't play about Jada, but he just went way too far. He was wrong for slapping Chris Rock. It wasn't that serious. And I agree with everything Chris Rock said about Will Smith and Jada in that special. And he deserved to say what he said. So to everybody calling Chris Rock not funny, he deserved to be slapped again, I disagree with y'all. It wasn't necessarily ha ha he funny, right? He had a couple of jokes in there, but he just talked about how he felt at the end of the day. It was never about, I don't think that segment was meant to be like, laughing funny, right? It was about his feelings about what happened to him. He's a comedian, so he's able to throw jokes in there and set it up in a way, but it was about his feelings, and he deserved to say how he felt. None of us could walk up and get assaulted by somebody for something that we said and not feel some type of way about it. And then for it to be broadcast to millions, right? To millions at an award show, and for people to play it over and over and over and over and over again. And you didn't even do anything that bad. You were just doing your job and telling jokes. You have a right to say what you want to say on the platform that you want to say it on. And I think that he did it with class, with a couple of jokes. And I'm here for it. So here was the next thing in the news cycle that I found so interesting was former CEO Debra Lee, right? Do y'all remember her? The lady that ruined BT. We ain't gonna talk too much about it, but we're gonna go into this story. So she comes out with the story of her truth, right? About how she was sleeping with Bob Johnson, how her and Bob were both married at the time. They ended up having an affair. They blew up their marriages. They both left their spouses to be together. And how he helped her climb the ladder at BET to where essentially she became the CEO, right? And she tried to come out and say that she was Me Too'd and that because of the power dynamic, she felt like she couldn't leave the relationship. And because, of who he was, she felt some type of way. And it was just like, hold on, Debra Lee. Hold on, Deborah. I don't know that's Deborah, Deborah. I'm gonna call you Deborah, okay? Because Deborah is tripping up there. Here's my thing with you, Debra Lee. You have lost your mind. Nobody, let me tell you something. Nobody feels bad for you because let me tell you what happened. You attracted Bob Johnson, right? Y'all were attracted. If you had any kind of integrity, right, you wouldn't have slept with that man. You would have worked your way up just like anybody else. Think about all the people that didn't get a job unfairly because Debra Lee was sleeping with Bob Johnson. They're the real victims. Their spouses that they blew up their lives for, they're the real victims. How dare you work your way up, halfway work, halfway sleep your way up to a CEO of BET, but you a victim? You know, I think you would be a victim if you didn't achieve the success that you achieved. Man, you were the CEO of BET. Like, you made it all the way to the tip top. But you were a victim? You were harassed? Harassed in what way? You know, I think what you thought was going to happen, that you were going to work your way up and then there was going to be some kind of respect level that Bob had for you, when really the only reason you were up there was because of him. Like, that's not how it works. You chose that life. Then you're talking about, because I ended up being a single mom. You chose to be. You literally blew up your life. Because at the time when you was doing it and when you was in it, you didn't care. You was willing to step on who you had to step on, sleep who you had to sleep with for power, control, and money. And then once you got there and you tried to wield some power and Bob had to sit you down like, I still run things over here, then you felt some type of way, right? You felt some type of way. And you don't deserve to feel any type of way. I don't think that Bob harassed you at all. I think that he wielded his power and you didn't like it. So then you took issue with it. But at the end of the day, you still became CEO of BET. And once again, you the reason why BET jacked up now. Nobody agreed with what you was doing over there. Ran it to the ground, honey. BET ain't been the same since you became the CEO. So one, we don't forgive you for that, first of all. For two, you climbed that ladder the way you wanted to climb that ladder. And nobody feels bad for you because you're not a victim. Think about all the victims that you left in your trail, sleeping with Bob to climb your way up. Right? And then to sit here and say, me too. Girl, you too. Girl, we don't agree with that. And you know, maybe you coming out with this because you got a book. Who wants to read a Debra Lee book? Drop it in the comments, because baby, I don't. Don't nobody care what you got to say, Debra. Deborah is what I'm going to call you. Nobody got time. Girl, bye. Okay, running right along through these topics. So the next thing that I want to talk about are the 4 Americans that went to Mexico for a BBL. They ended up getting kidnapped. Unfortunately, 2 of them were unalived. 1 of them were injured and 1 came back alive. Now, let me tell you something. When I first heard this story, baby, I was like very scared for them because I'm like, they got kidnapped by the cartel. Like what? Like, and when we seen the video, it was like, what happened? And if I could play the video of them getting kidnapped, I will, but I probably don't want to reshare their trauma. But it was just like, what happened? Right. And the story of, I was down there to get a BBL and I got kidnapped is just very wild to me, right? It's just very wild. And I'm just like, I don't know if we all believed it or not, because like so many people went down there to get a BBL and don't get kidnapped, right? That we know of. I can't say that, that we know of. And it just was very unfortunate circumstances. Now, what ended up happening is, listen, some things happen. People on the internet are going to research it, right? The story always didn't sound correct at all. It just always didn't sound correct. And it just coming out that maybe she didn't go down there for a BBL. Maybe, because if you're going down there for a BBL, why are you taking 3 men with you, right? Like, that just made absolutely no sense at all. It really didn't. And so whether they were down there for ulterior motives or to get a BBL, one thing that I want to say is that they did not deserve to be kidnapped, and they definitely didn't deserve to be unalived, right? They did not deserve to be. Now, say they were down there, some people are speculating, allegedly, that they were down there to run drugs, And, I don't know what the case may be. But listen, if you're gonna live a fast life and you're gonna put yourself in dangerous situations and these things happen to you, it's unfortunate. And hopefully, if that's something that they were doing, that it is a wake-up call. I honestly hope that they weren't. I honestly hope that they weren't doing that. I honestly hope that they were down there with good intentions. They are really victims of kidnapping. Now, if they really were, and this is what I want to tell people that go to these other countries, because you're Americans, they don't care. They don't care. I don't care what country you go to. I think sometimes Americans, no matter the race, no matter the color, you go to these other countries and you have this chip on your shoulder. You better take it off a little bit because they have different rules that you have to abide by. It has been too many stories over the years where Americans go to other countries and they get themselves in trouble. They get themselves in a lot of trouble. Whether it was these 4 Americans, whether it was like the young college guy that went to, oh my God, I don't want to say the name of the wrong country, where he stole a poster, he took propaganda down, he came back brain dead, right? It's so many stories like this where we as Americans go to these other countries and we end up in jail. I mean, Brittany Griner, we could talk about her too. And the only reason she got grace because she's a WNBA player. They still have people over there in jail. You have to, when you go to these other countries, you better act accordingly. Okay, especially if they have hostile environments like in Mexico. Y'all better act accordingly when y'all go to these other countries. You better hold your head down, walk in, shop, stay in the tourism areas, don't break no laws, be on your best behavior. You just have to be on your best behavior when you go out into these other countries. And that is all that I'm saying. I'm not saying that kidnapping was warranted. I'm not saying that them being unalive was warranted. What I'm saying is you need to look up where you're going. You need to look up the laws. You need to be knowledgeable about where you're traveling to, BBL or not. You look up and you do your research. Because again, in these other countries, sometimes there's nothing the U.S. can do to save you. And I hate that everybody was putting this on, oh, they ain't gonna save them, they don't care about them. No, we don't have, we just can't be going saving citizens that want to go to other countries and be cutting up all the time. We can't do that. They have their own laws. Because when they come over here, y'all don't treat them. They have to abide by our laws. They have to do all kinds of stuff. When people find out that they're immigrants, y'all treat them a whole different way, but y'all expect to be Americans and go somewhere and don't get treated like an immigrant. Baby, wake up call. You better go to these other countries and do what you got to do to make it back home. Go on your little trip, follow all the rules, get back home and get back to the homeland, baby. Because these people not playing with y'all. Y'all better stop that. I'm tired of all the rhetoric about, U.S. need to save them. Now you need to go over there and act like you got some sense. So I hope that, I think the truth is going to come out about why these 4 Americans were over there. However, I hope that they recover. I pray for the family of the ones that were unalived. And, may God give you strength and comfort during this horrible time. It's going to come out because, baby, the FBI is involved, and that is my take on that. So here's the next thing I wanted to talk about. I saw a story about Shawn Kemp in a drive-by shooting, right? Shawn Kemp is an ex-NBA star, okay? And when I heard this, I was like, baby, Shawn Kemp, he drive-by shooting? Like, it just, like, when I read the headline and I'll put it in the video, I just was like, Shawn Kemp did a drive-by shooting. What would make Shawn Kemp, of all people, drive-by shoot anybody? He's an ex-NBA star. He doesn't, it just didn't make any sense to me. And then it later came out, okay, that people had stole his items and he tracked them. He went to retrieve them. And that, there was an altercation. He ended up having to shoot to protect himself, right? I'll insert the new news clip where it says no charges are going to be brought against him and that, he's not going to face any jail time. And here is my problem. You news media, when it comes to people that look like me, let's just call a spade, Black people, y'all are so quick to put out the most negative headline that you can put out. Y'all had people, a drive-by shooting? We all know what comes with that rhetoric, the hood, gangs, the most negative things when it comes to people, when it comes to Black people. And you put out a news story about a drive-by shooting when the man, when he shot, he wasn't even in a car. It wasn't even no drive-by. If you look at the video, why was that necessary? I get so tired of when there's headlines of people that look like me and Black people, that it is the most negative headline. It is the most racist headline. When the whole time this man was defending himself. How many people are going to go back and look at the truth that this man was defending himself and that it wasn't a drive-by shooting like these news media, these big news outlets put out? Y'all are ridiculous. And nobody fact checks anymore. You know, everybody just goes and puts up, like when it was a drive-by shooting, that's all I saw on my timeline. Sean Kemp did a drive-by shooting. Sean Kemp did a drive-by shooting. And it just wasn't true. You know, just spewing lies and spewing a rhetoric all the time. That's all you see in the news media. You know, it's just crazy and it's tiring. This whole time this man was defending himself. No charges. Why y'all couldn't put he was involved in the shooting is being investigated? He was involved in the shooting is being, he did a drive-by. Girl, what? It's just, you know, it's just so tiring. So shout out to Sean Kemp. Shout out to you. I'm glad that you were able to protect yourself from people who stole from you and who violated you first, and that I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that no charges get brought against you, because this world is crazy and you got to protect yourself. So shout out to you for protecting yourself. So let's talk about Ja Morant, right? Ja Morant is a young NBA star. I want to say this young guy's like 22, 23, has so many endorsement deals. He is a really popular player right now. He's one of the NBA superstars. And his background, for the most part, is that he went to a private school, had both parents in the home, didn't necessarily grow up in the hood, right? And Ja Morant has just been trying to live this gangster life. Like, he's just using guns, posting guns on the internet, hitting people, pulling guns on people. And I want to just talk about this for a moment, because I don't understand the glamorization of that kind of life. I don't understand why when people get millions of dollars, and, you know, we'll take Young Thug for an example. You know, with a name like Young Thug, should we? But let's talk about it. Real name Jeffrey. Jeffrey Young Thug did come from the hood, right? He came from these circumstances that were not great, but he had a talent. His talent was rapping, right? And worth millions of dollars, can travel anywhere in the world that he wants to, can be essentially anybody he wants to be. And you choose to be a hood thug gangster, shooting up people, drugs. Like, I just never understood why when people make it out of their circumstance and they get these millions of dollars and these opportunities, why they choose to still do the wrong thing, why they still choose to engage in illegal activity, why they choose to uphold this rapper, hood, gangster lifestyle. What is so glamorizing about that lifestyle to you all? After you had so many examples of where that lifestyle leads you to, death or in jail. What is so glamorizing about that? And to my people, what's glamorizing about that to y'all? Why do y'all need that? After you made millions of dollars, where you, if you wanted to, you wouldn't have to go back to the hood. You wouldn't have to drive past the hood if you want to. You can move it anywhere you want to. Your money could take you where you wanted to take you. And yet, you want to go back down to the gutters. You want to do illegal things. You want to be hood so bad. Y'all are ridiculous. And Ja Morant, I hope that for you. You're very young. You're only in your 20s. I understand people in their 20s and rap music. Y'all probably listen to NBA Youngboy and all these little fools that's out here making this crazy music. And honey, it's just not the way to go. It's like, you don't need that life. Like, you don't have to be some gangster dude. It infuriates me because y'all uplift this kind of lifestyle and call people like Russell Wilson corny. That wants to live straight and narrow. That's corny. No, what's corny is you blowing deals, about to lose things in the NBA, suspended from games. That's corny. What's corny is illegal activity. What's corny is pulling guns on people. What's corny is flashing guns on the internet. What's corny is dealing drugs to people. That's corny. That's what you call corny. People that want to live straight lives and be good people, that's not corny. Y'all need to reframe y'all mind and get it together. Black men especially. It's tiresome. And black women too that uphold it. Yeah, come on. And listen, what I'm not saying is you can be hood and still be a good person, right? You could come from the hood and still be a good person. You could be hood as hell. You could be ratchet as hell and still do good things, not do drugs, not pull guns on people, have illegal guns. You ain't got to do that. You ain't got to live illegally and you can still be hood. It's okay. It's okay to be hood. Ain't nothing wrong with being from the hood, you know, because other races got hoods too. You know, we call them different things. They got their hoods. They got their, you know, lower levels as well. And let's call it what it is. Right? But you do not have to have this illegal life. You don't have to live a life of a cycle of going in and out of jail. You ain't got to do that. You could be a good person. You know, you ain't got to have this cycle of fighting and drug and all. You don't have to. And I understand we in the hood, you surrounded by it, right? But you don't have to partake in it. You just don't. You know, that rhetoric needs to stop. You could be from the hood and still be a good person. And so, you know, I just hope that people reframe their minds and get out of this wannabe rapper, hood, gangster lifestyle, because ain't nothing cute about it. You know, and I can't lie and sit here and say that when I was younger, a part of it didn't appeal to me. But when I was about 19, 20, I definitely was dating a drug dealer. I sure ain't know nothing about their life. Ain't come from it. But I dated one. I did. Because it was the flashy money. It was the car. It was all that kind of stuff, right? But after going through that, honey, never again. That's whack. Baby, he went to jail one time and we broke up. I was done. Oh, you in jail? After he went to jail, it was like, oh no, I don't do jailbirds. But that's what come with the life. And I knew at that age, I don't want no dealings a part of this. That's not what I want to do. It's not cute. You in jail? And was calling me collect, baby. I am in college. I don't have money for you. Okay, it wasn't giving what's supposed to give, and I knew that when I was younger, right? So y'all just have to stop perpetuating this bullcrap. Is the cycle ever going to end? No. But for you people that are millionaires that want to uphold that, y'all are ridiculous. You know, some people, their circumstances are their circumstances. They might be a product of their environment. They don't have the money. They're not the millionaires. It's to you. To everybody, really, but to you millionaires especially that get up there and perpetuate those same stereotypes and want to be what people are fighting not to be, what people would give their lives to not be, and you want to be that, y'all need to check yourself. And y'all, that was my wrap up of this week's news story, honey. And it had so many more news stories. I mean, just so many more that I wouldn't have time to put in this video. This video will be an hour long, honey. So listen, thank you so much for watching. Did you hear about these news stories? How do you feel about Morant and his behavior? Did you see the story about Sean Kemp? Did you see the news headlines? How do you feel about the man with 7 kids, 7 baby mamas? Debra leading. Drop down in the comments and let's get into it. Make sure you like this video before you leave. I thank you so much for spending time with me. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here watching me. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.